Hi, and welcome to the Secret Art of Business. And today I have the Sauce Goddess. I am so excited. It is Jennifer Reynolds, and she is a master of sausage, which, just checking out your website, which is saucegoddess.com. The fact that you have soy free, nut free, gluten free, non GMO, and vegan is pretty freaking amazing.
Yes.
So, Jennifer, without any further ado, please tell me about Sauce Goddess.
Oh my gosh. Sauce Goddess, we've been in business about 23 years.
I didn't know
And
that.
it all started with a dare from my friends or kind of a challenge they threw down. I had been making my dad's recipe for barbecue sauce for years for my friends. Um, my parents retired and left San Diego. And then I made my dad give me the recipe before he left. So then I started
Nice.
a food company when my friends were like, you know, hey, you got to do something with this recipe. Don't get old and wonder what if
Yeah, yeah,
you did
yeah.
something with your barbecue sauce recipe. So I jumped into it around 2001, and been going strong. We do a lot of online sales. We have a lot of business at a couple of natural food markets like Sprouts Farmers Market. They're national now, and Whole Foods.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
in the Southern Pacific region, and we're expanding actually to the Midwest and the East Coast.
Wow.
Um, and that's happening right now, like in June. The products, the sauces should be on shelf in the other regions in the U.S., which will be exciting. And then we're in a lot of boutique stores and um, even real specialty grocery stores like Central Market and places like that. And then barbecue stores and hot sauce places and all that. But everything, you mentioned that everything was soy free. Everything is actually not soy free. Our sauces up here have gluten free soy sauce, but everything else is free of soy, free of additives. That's kind of the big thing we do, and
Yes.
not a
Well,
lot of
I didn't assume that all your sauces were free of everything, but you had
yeah,
choices in all of those
yes, yeah,
areas.
yeah, yeah. And it's interesting. We haven't gone soy free yet because I haven't found a substitute for the soy sauce that is somewhat economical at the industrial levels. I know that aminos are really that's a great substitute for soy sauce, liquid aminos. But in the industrial side of things, they can be a little bit more pricey. And our product, because we're not using fillers and flavorings and all that other
Yeah.
stuff anyway, is already kind of at the top of the market. And I'm not sure if people want to spend $12 or $13 on a bottle of barbecue sauce.
If
Just not sure if they're comfortable with that. So,
if
um,
people really want that sauce and they can't have soy, I mean, they might be willing to pay it, who knows, but
I
that's
know,
definitely
yeah,
more your area than mine. I love, though, that you do have options for people because I know sometimes people just get really stuck and they want to, kind of still enjoy those things
yeah.
that they had as a kid, which is my own segue to talk about, um, so you had this great company, but you didn't always own this company, even though dad secretly had this recipe. But while he was doing that, what did you do as a kid to kind of be entertained or to have fun or create things?
Well, things that I love to do. I love to swim when I was a kid,
Hmm.
and I love to play outside. I think, and we would create things. We would build forts, and we would play with dolls and cars and all that stuff outside. We didn't watch a lot of TV, and we certainly back in the day didn't have cell phones or anything like that.
Right.
So, we did a lot of inventing. Okay, you play this person and I'll play this person. Okay,
Yes.
great. We just so your mind is thinking about things as a kid when you get a chance to just play free form. You're not waiting for something to tell you how to play,
Oh, I love that.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes.
So I really like that part about being a kid and just letting kids, you give a kid a box and they can do things with it that you don't
Hmm.
really think about because their minds are like little sponges and they're like, what can I do with this?
Yeah. One day it's a car, the next thing it's a rocket ship, next thing it's something else.
Exactly,
Well,
exactly.
so
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was
Draw little
made it.
wheels on the outside and
Yes. Yes. And
yeah.
then you just played
But
with it until it was pulp. It seems
yeah,
like.
yeah, yeah. I love to draw as a kid. I was really matter of fact, I still like to doodle and draw.
Hmm.
I don't paint or anything like I used to, but yeah, I used to really like to draw.
Well, you said you
Was
don't paint like you used to. Did you? What kind of painting did you do? Was this as a child or
on
in school or something like that?
Yeah, mainly just oil paintings, but I mean,
Oh
as a
my
little
gosh!
kid, at 10 years old, I was, in an oil painting class
Oh
and,
my goodness!
it's interesting because, I think if you're a creative, I was trying to teach this to someone. I was teaching it actually it was my niece when she was little, and I was trying to teach her perspective. And if you draw at all, you understand perspective.
Absolutely.
Because even though the table has four equal legs, when you look at a table, they don't have four equal legs. And so I
Right.
was
Right.
teaching her how to look and look for the difference. That
Hmm.
yes, in your mind, you know they're equal. But when you draw it, you have to draw it like you would see it, and they don't look equal. Um, but they create that message in your mind because it's how it looks. So um, anyway, just kind of I know that's a tangent, but it's just
No, that's
interesting
exactly what
because
we're talking about here. You know, in
yeah,
that, I really believe that people that stay tapped into that creativity, while especially when they own a business, that's how the business grows. It's because
yeah,
you're constantly redrawing, you're looking at things differently. And for me,
yes.
I have an art degree. Some of these paintings behind me are mine. And I recently did tap back into it because I have an art degree that I never used, but I always stayed creative. And
Yeah,
I really believe that's how people can find success in business and personally if they can just stay creative.
yeah,
Um, and
yeah. It's
basically using
funny.
your whole brain versus just the left side. But having created a business, I think you have definitely done that too, though. Um,
Yeah, I find a lot of joy in that, Catherine. I like
mhm.
the creative side of things is definitely where I enjoy being. I'm good with numbers. I can write, right? Writing's creative. Numbers are not
Yep,
necessarily,
same.
but I'm good with them. So it's kind of the flip side is I'm actually really good with an Excel spreadsheet, even though I'd rather be in the kitchen creating a meal or doing something super creative. That brings me joy. The Excel spreadsheet feeds the numbers side of me that needs that.
Yes.
I don't know if that's that balance or what it is, but
There's some
um,
satisfaction in it. I can tell you because we are twinsies in this regard, in that I there's a certain satisfaction I have with the numbers. And honestly, when I was working in my business more, that was like one of the last things I gave up was the finance part of it, just because
yeah,
I like getting the money. I like writing invoices. I like because it was just something just kind of cool about that. But the marketing
yeah,
is also super fun too.
right, right. And it's interesting. So when I was a little kid, and you know how they say that you're sort of I don't want to say you're taught who you are by how people talk to you and talk about you.
Yes.
And when you're little, and I remember one of my best friends, when I was 10 years old, I'd go over there and be like, oh my gosh, I've got an idea. We could do this. Oh, wait, we could do this. We could do this. And I was constantly just exploding with ideas. And
Yeah.
I remember one time she said, oh, Jenny, you've got so many ideas. And that has stuck in my head my entire life. I mean, I just always think of myself as being the idea person. And I did about 2 years ago, I did one of those Clifton Strengths tests.
Yes.
And my number one strength is ideation. And I looked at it and I thought, I am not surprised at all, one little bit, because my whole life I felt like that was, I'm always creating things and ideas and planning and whatever. And I was not surprised at all that that
It's
was
all been
the case.
justified by science or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the Swing Finders, and if people have a chance, they should definitely check that out because I thought it offered a lot of guidance as far as what you should be doing, and you should be the idea person, which is there's something just kind of cool about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, so
It's interesting.
oh, go
So
ahead,
yes,
go ahead.
Catherine. No, no, no. I just was saying it is interesting to see that.
Cool. You definitely have this creative background. You're definitely an idea person. You're definitely a visionary. What made you start the business? I mean, you had talked about how, someone had just said to you, it would be a great idea is if you could create these sauces. What were you kind of doing before that? And then what made you decide to kind of pull the trigger on, all right, let's go for it?
So prior to Sauce Goddess, I actually graduated. I have a printing degree, And you'll find this interesting. It's actually printing as in ink on paper. It's all of the production side of printing.
Oh,
And some of
cool.
it is the creative side, but I ended up I'm gonna flash back to high school. I had an art class that I was in high school, and I sat next to someone who's a friend of mine, and I looked over at what she was working on. I looked at what I was working on, and I realized there is a night and day difference between someone who is truly artistic on paper and someone who likes art and is good
Hmm.
at it, but I'm not an artist. I stared at what she was doing and I went, okay, yeah, I enjoy it, but I obviously not my career path because my brain,
Uh-huh.
while it's creative, wasn't that creative. It wasn't over the top in that way.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and so I went to school for printing, which is kind of still creative, but it's in the production side of things. Um, and so that's what my degree is in. So I spent 22 years in the printing industry as a wholesale sales rep, helping people grow their businesses.
Oh my
So I was
goodness.
helping other entrepreneurs, and one of the things that I used to tell them, I was a commissioned rep, and they knew I was making money selling them, supplies and capital equipment and all that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make the best recommendation I can for you on products and equipment and everything else. Because as you grow, I'm going to just ride on your coattails. I'm going to be hanging along and helping you grow. And yes, I'm going to be making money on what we're doing here, but I'm along for the ride. You guys are the ones that are doing it. So it was a really great way to go. And the true transition, Catherine, happened when I would sell capital equipment to companies, and they would have an installation or training day.
Hmm.
And at that time, I already had started Sauce Goddess. So this is like, I don't know, 2005 or so, 2006. I'd
Was it just
started
like a
the company
hobby at that time?
back in 2000. No, I was selling it, but just to boutique, companies. I didn't really consider it was a business, but it was like a
Just over
business
there.
hobby kind of
Yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't doing it full time. I still had another job. And I was still, successful in my job, and I was still helping people and all that. And so I would sell this capital equipment. We have an installation day, and I would say, well, instead of just bringing pizza for installation day, why don't I do barbecue? And so all of a sudden my shift went, like I would sell a piece of capital equipment. Hey, you guys want me to bring in some barbecue? So I drag my barbecue over there and cook up some chicken for it was a small place or whatever. And then it became, they've signed on the paperwork, and at the same time I'm like, okay, great. And on installation day, I'll do a barbecue. So my focus had changed from selling, a $200,000 piece of equipment to what can I cook for you? And
You
so
might have got a little
kind
more
of
joy
knew,
out of that part of it.
yes, not that I wasn't enjoying, the commission part of things, but and the helping people grow their businesses part of things, but the joy was in how can I feed you? How can I make you happy that
Yes,
way?
yes.
And so, I realized that when it came to starting the company, that was just something that was going to bring me a lot of joy, and that's why my company is really focused on helping people use our products. We have like 150 recipes on our website,
Oh my
and I
goodness.
just keep creating more. Like I can't. It's all those ideas.
I know, I
It's
love
it's
it.
um it's just that as I'm cooking something, I'm like, oh my gosh, well that would be great with blah 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 blah. So I have a mac and cheese recipe that's sort of a master recipe. Now, who makes a master recipe of mac and cheese? It's good enough on its own, but I have like a bunch of variations in my head that I want to do, like, pork belly mac and cheese and chorizo mac and cheese, and right? Because chorizo uses my Latin heat seasoning, and pork belly uses my sweet and tangy sauce, and throw that into mac and cheese, and it's just a crazy combination of something rich and delicious. And
Mm,
anyway, or brisket mac and cheese.
getting
Yeah,
really
anyway,
hungry now.
just throwing it out there.
I'm gonna immediately order some things once I get off this call with you. Well, I mean, this kind of falls into my next question, but you've already talked about it. And that is, how are you still creating? And I think you have, by basically saying you have all these recipes and you just keep making more. I think that speaks directly to that you have, kind of kept your creativity sharp, even though you've thought, I'm not that creative. I think it's really more like I'm not that kind of creative because you are
Exactly.
totally a different
That's it.
kind of creative. Because I would
I
never be able
can
to come up with that, and I consider myself a creative person.
Well, I what I what I would love to do, and I thought about approaching like, Food Network about this or something, but I mean, I would love the idea of going into someone's house that doesn't feel creative in the kitchen and helping give them those skill sets, saying, "Hey, let's open up the pantry. Let's see what you got. Oh, you've got that and that and that. Okay, let's make this. What do you have in your freezer? Okay, you got that? Great. Let's thaw it out. Let's do this." And then when you're tired of that the second day, turn it into this by adding this and this.
I love it.
Like just getting people thinking about the continuity of, I mean, a lot of people don't like to cook. And so they buy either prepared meals or now they'll buy meals that are ready to cook
Right, right.
in the grocery store, or they send them to their house or whatever. Um, but for a person that cooks just a little, but isn't interested in necessarily the big meals. They don't know what to do with the leftovers when they have stuff left,
Right.
other than just eat the same meal again. There's a lot of creativity that's in what do you do with it the second day? What about the
Well,
third
automatically, I'm
day?
just thinking about, like most people, my child loves mac and cheese.
Yeah,
And really, who doesn't? Just in its
right.
basic form. But you can't doll it up in any way. It's got to be her favorite is the box from the box mac and cheese.
Yep.
You can sometimes go between the powder and the already gooey cheese, but she's a purist. But then I'm thinking like if all I could do is add some of your spices to mine, I
Uh-huh.
mean I can make it a much more fulfilling moment than just plain mac
Yeah.
and cheese again. So even something like that, I think is kind of cool too. Like if you're cooking for other people and just say you could totally cross promote and just say you could do this, or you could add this spice and conveniently, I also I can sell these spices too. But um, I love that
I
idea. Like that you're, like I said, still thinking about other ideas. How do I just keep building on this? And that's
yeah.
just like a super marketing tactic, which is out of the box thinking, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting, you mentioned kids, one of the recipes that I like to tell parents when they come up, if I happen to be sampling at a store or just talking to people in general that they're like, "I don't like to cook. I've got kids I gotta take care of." I said, "Okay, is your daughter's right here? Oh, okay. Do you like to cook?" They're like, "'Cause kids will eat what they cook, so they
Interesting.
love to eat what they make." Um I mean, I've watched one of my friend's daughters eat a cooked egg when they said she doesn't eat eggs, and I said, "Let's see if she'll eat it if she makes it herself." And so I taught her how to make an egg, and she put it on the plate, and she ate it. She was like, "This is great." She loved it. She was like
Interesting.
6, 7, I mean, but just they're making it for themselves. They're accomplishing something. There's that sense of
Hmm.
accomplishment, um, that, they know they made something that now they get to eat. But, oh
That's a
gosh,
whole
there
revenue
was
stream right there.
something else I was gonna say about
Getting
that.
kids to cook and
Oh,
all
I
that.
know. So one of my favorite recipes for kids, and you say just like add a little bit to make something your own, is
Mhm.
buy a rotisserie chicken at the store, let it cool down, let your child peel every bit of meat off of that carcass and put it in a pot, and you add a little sauce, and they just made barbecued chicken. And there's
Nice.
a satisfaction they got to make dinner for the family. They made
Yep.
barbecued chicken,
Oh, that's
because
actually
they can
yeah.
stir the sauce in the pan and they heat it
Yep.
up, and maybe you don't want them over an open flame or anything, but anyway,
There's ways around
yeah.
that. They're probably actually safer than we'd like to think. We like to sometimes put our kids in a bubble, but I mean, kids have been at the stove for a long time, and if they're careful, they're fine. But
They just
I,
need to learn. Yeah.
exactly. And respect the flame or the heat or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
No, I
for
love it.
sure.
That's a great idea. That's a really great
Yeah.
idea. See, popping the ideas.
Another
Just
idea.
cannot stop. That is so awesome. You, like I said, you are the epitome of why, the exact example of why this podcast exists. I found that, keeping myself creative definitely helped this business. I don't think in many cases people are like, oh, you got lucky. Luck, it doesn't, it's not really what's involved. It's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of innovation because you just love being creative. You love coming up with stuff and figuring problem
Yeah.
solving and, this didn't work. Let's try this. Or how do I get that client? Or how do I do this? And there's just a certain level of fun to it. and I don't find it stressful. I don't know about you. I mean, certainly some things do cause stress, but I don't think the innovation part of it does.
No, no. I mean, I think, for me with what I've got in terms of our sauces and spices, I think the thing that frustrates me sometimes from the business end of it is, dealing with the food police, I call them. Dealing with that side of things that has to do with the actual manufacturing process, because I don't do any manufacturing. We use what's called contract packagers, and they make
That's
it all for me.
wise. That
So
is wise.
I let them deal with the food police.
Yep.
But when I create new things, they've got to go through all of the testing and all that to make sure they're actually production ready,
Right.
so they can actually make, 500 gallons at a time. Um, because that's a lot. It changes the proportions of certain things,
Yes. Yes.
so you got to make sure you got it right.
Well, that is just so awesome, and you're awesome. I love. I thought your
Thank
website was
you.
super fun, so people definitely need to check that out. Saucegoddess.com. I You're clearly onto something, and barbecue sauce. I mean, come on, who doesn't like that? And
Yeah,
plus,
I know,
a
I
lot of
know.
other choices too. Now, is it barbecue sauce? Is that your dad's? Or what is the original recipe? Is that it,
So
or
the
is it
original recipe is actually here. Let's do this. These are the two originals, but this is my
okay?
riff on my dad's sticky sweet.
Nice.
Um, it's all brown sugar. I mean, it's sweet brown sugar. Um, there's no liquid smoke. That's the big thing about our barbecue sauces that's super different. And there's a super short ingredients list. I'm going to show the ingredients list is just this little bit right here. There's like 10 items. If you have a 7-year-old can read that, know what it is.
Perfect.
And then this is my version. That's what I created at the same time. So those two sauces, these two started my company because I like
Awesome.
it spicy. So, it's a little less sweet than the other one. It's got a little kick to it. So it's nice.
I love it. I love it.
But yeah, that started the company in 2020 and 2021 officially, but 2020. And then now we got like 19 SKUs,
That's a lot of growth.
23 if you count the
A
food
lot
service
of
stuff.
growth in a
Yeah,
short
it's a
period of
lot.
time. That is pretty
Yeah.
freaking amazing. Let me ask you this. I know you're still, kind of ramping up this, world takeover with your sauce, but you did mention oil painting. And so, painting is close to my heart. I have to ask you, is that something that you would like to go back to at some time?
I don't know.
Just
You
for
know,
fun or
um, I don't know if I can sit still that long to oil paint. I think that where my creativity is right now, I absolutely love to cook, and I
Mhm.
love to just nothing makes me happier than get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and open up the fridge and think, what can I do right now? I'm kind of
Oh,
itching to
see,
cook. It's like
that's
super early. I barely had my decaf.
that's how you know you
It's
found your calling.
yeah. I can't wait to get at it yeah, it's it's crazy. But I will say there's other places I like to be kind of creative. Um, I like I like gardening a little bit. I'm
Mhm,
dabbling in that
mhm.
just a little bit, and I like photography. And photography is not unlike painting. You're framing a photo. You're
Yep.
establishing where your cross line is, and your
Mhm,
whatever that
mhm.
the
The
horizon line.
quadrants. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, you're doing all that and putting things in thirds and all that magic. And I get out my little trusty my iPhone here, and now I've got the ability to focus on the front
Yes.
item or the back item. It's kind of
Oh,
fun.
yeah, and just
It's
as a little bit of a tangent, when every time they come out with a new camera on the phone, that's when I need a new one. I mean, it's like I don't use it for calling anybody.
yeah,
It's like if it's got. And I saw that it had the portrait feature on the latest one. I'm like, well, I got to get that because that was one of my favorite lenses when I actually would use a camera. So yeah, it's
yeah,
ridiculous, but I too, love taking photos, and that's
yeah.
how I
What
get
kind
a
of
little bit of
camera
my
did you have,
creativity
Catherine?
out too. Pardon me.
What kind of camera did you have?
I think I don't know, but I have a 13 now or whatever it is, maybe.
No, I
Oh, the
mean
camera I
camera,
had, oh,
camera.
I
Like,
don't even remember. I mean, that was I probably like a Nikon of some kind. That was
yeah,
like the hot one back in
I had an
college.
old Olympus OM1 with the manual. When you need to move rotate
Yes.
the
Yep.
totally
Yeah, I
manual.
did that
So I
too.
had to
I didn't
control.
have any I didn't ever have like it had to have like a little crank thing and you had to put the film in it that had to be developed. Yeah, it was like a photography class that I took and then I stuck with it for
Mhm.
a long time and then after a while once, kind of it got easier, I guess, to do it. But the iPhones are quite satisfying to use the
It's
camera.
ridiculous how easy it is, and the fact that you can instantly share with people. They don't have to wait for you to get home to
Yes.
view a slideshow or something.
I can run this over to the photo mat. I can get the film in an hour. I hope I got the shot. I hope I got the shot. That
Yeah,
sort of thing.
right? And you get it back and they're not okay, and you've ordered doubles. Yeah, yeah. Anyone listening to this
Exactly.
that's
Oh, good
younger than
times.
us is gonna be like, "What are they talking about?"
Exactly, exactly. Oh, but there will be some that will know and they will appreciate us. I appreciate you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. This has been so great. I have loved learning more about you and your business. I mean, I knew enough to be dangerous, but now I want to be a customer. So I'm gonna,
Thank
like I
you.
said, log off and order some things because
Thank
I'm
you.
very,
Yeah,
very excited.
everybody can head over to saucegoddess.com if they wanna do
Yes.
some shopping or check out the 150 recipes we've got going.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I really
All right.
appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.